What sort of crack have they been smoking at the Daily Mail? Because there are two versions of events when it comes to what's going on with Meghan Markle and Netflix and just the disaster of As Ever, full stop. There's the real story, and then there's the Daily Mail propaganda. Because today, they have put out there that, oh no, despite the succession of flops, despite the fact that Netflix is walking away from this big exclusive deal, they still intend to pay Meghan Markle and Prince Harry $60 million. So I repeat, what crack are they smoking? Seriously, Richard Eden, Rebecca English, Charlotte Scobie, this is ludicrous stuff now. The truth, of course, is coming from America and the Hollywood press about just how desperate Meghan Markle is. So desperate, in fact, that she is now begging for a seat at the toxic table. The toxic table, otherwise known as Whoopi Goldberg's The View. Now, Rob Shooter, who broke this story in the first place of Meghan being dumped by Netflix, so he's highly credible in Hollywood, has this new article out. Meghan Markle begs for new gigs as Netflix deal crumbles. Meghan Markle is hustling, he writes, not the first time she's hustled, and Hollywood is watching with raised brows. Sources tell Shutter Scoop the former royal is in full panic mode after Netflix won't renew her $100 million deal. Now Meghan is pitching everything from lifestyle shows to docuseries to daytime talk, even floating herself for The View. She's terrified of fading into irrelevance, says one well-placed insider. At this point, she'd take a Hot Topic seat next to Whoopi Goldberg if they let her. Her soft-performing show With Love Meghan will return for a second season this fall, but insiders aren't buying the spin. Netflix barely blinked, a snarky source adds. Meanwhile, Harry is said to be focused on fatherhood and charity work, leaving Meghan to fight for relevance alone. She needs a new hit, fast, the insider warns. This new chapter could make or break her. Well, look, I will add to that, saying she's broken. She's broken. The marriage is broken. Her credibility is broken. We know she's broken. That's not the point. But I have always been clear, and remember, I was the first in the world to report the fact that Netflix wanted to walk away from the deal. I think it was mid-2023 that I did so. But I always added the caveat that there was going to be a face-saving first look deal. That's because of the Ted Sarandos friendship with Meghan. That's because this is what Hollywood lovies do. The same thing happened to the Obamas after their Netflix deal tanked. So just wait for that announcement, okay? But at the moment, what you're getting is the Daily Mail preparing for that announcement with a whole load of ludicrous pro-Meghan propaganda. And that is what it is now. It is propaganda. Because how could you seriously look at what's gone on over the past few months and say that this is a gold mine? But that is what they've done today. Alison Boshoff reporting Meghan's new gold mine. Insiders reporting why she and Harry are set to make more money next year despite being horrible at making decisions. Well, come on. That is ludicrous. It is completely ludicrous. The nadir of the deal, the absolute peak, was when they signed with Netflix after Oprah Winfrey in 2021. Netflix got the reality show. There has been no hit since then. None of the deals that Meghan claimed were on the slate were ever announced. It's one-way traffic. As the Royal News Network posted, please make the desperate, delusional PR push end. They had one success with Netflix and a bunch of flops. As Ever is a joke and there is no strategy to be seen anywhere. The couple needs to change careers and stop with this nonsense. It's tiresome. And actually, I loved Maureen Callahan's take on this with Kinsey Schofield. Watch. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
Well, as ever, Kinsey, that is on brand. We get dropped by a Spotify or a Lemonada or now a Netflix, and or we are excommunicated and gray rocked by the British royal family, and nothing's ever over with those two. It's
Yeah.
always like nothing's dead, no relationship is dead, no business venture is dead, no matter the level of betrayals or really this. Now you're working in the American marketplace, okay? You better bring your A game. You better have something to contribute to the culture. And these two have nothing. I think it's very telling, by the way. This sounds sinister, but you can't put anything past these two. I think they knew that the axe was about to drop from Netflix. And I think it's no coincidence that there have been efforts to hold these summits to make some sort of reconciliation with the British royal family, because that's all they've got to go back out on the open marketplace and sling their wares.
But this is what the Daily Mail, Maureen's newspaper, is reporting today. The couple are still firmly attached to the Netflix money hose. Netflix boss Ted Sarandos remains a huge fan of Meghan's in particular, and his support is a powerful secret weapon. There will be a third series of the Duchess's lifestyle show with Love Meghan if she wants to make one, and I hear she does. This is coming, by the way, from Montecito Direct. Multiple sources say the couple are getting a new first look deal with the streamer. Now, that, I believe, was always what the plan was going to be. That was the face-saving plan. But this is where the crack smoking comes in, okay? Which will be in line with the $65 million deal Barack and Michelle Obama now have. And it doesn't get bigger than that. So, okay, that's where we realize that the Daily Mail, and I want you to remember this, okay? Because sometimes they do have good exclusives, but what you have to fundamentally remember is they are now part of the propaganda train. They are now part of the Montecito PR machine. Because to look at everything that's happened with Netflix over the past few years, to look at what's gone on with Spotify and the effing grifters tag, to look at the cold hard figures and literally be able to walk away and claim that you're a credible journalist writing that they have a $65 million deal and it doesn't get bigger than that, just proves that these people don't care about the truth. They care about the rehabilitation of Harry and Meghan. So I just want you to remember that. Alison Boshoff continues in the Daily Mail this morning. I also hear there are other options on the table for other lifestyle shows from the Duchess tied to hosting gatherings at Thanksgiving or Christmas. The idea is to announce those shows in September when the second series already shot of With Love Meghan drops. In fact, one well-placed source, and this is where I just have to laugh because it's so stupid, believes the Sussexes are going to make more money next year from Netflix and Meghan's Netflix-backed brand as ever than they did this year. But, okay, and here's where they come to a little bit of the truth, but you'll see it's buried way, way down in the article. But it's bad news for their own large team at Archwell Productions, which has been funded up to now by the Netflix exclusive deal. Insiders suggest that running the team and the office costs around $3 million a year. Although their team won't comment, some belt tightening on the production side looks inevitable. The fate of projects in development, including a rom-com film based on the book Meet Me at the Lake, also appear like they are on ice. However, sources close to the couple themselves. Okay, so this is just Alison Boshoff making it clear. I mean, I'd be so embarrassed if I were her, but she's just making it clear. I'm being leaked this information, okay? So just so you know what's going on again. So we can expect more projects from them both for Netflix. So Harry's not giving up either. Despite truly poor ratings for his documentaries, Polo and Heart of Invictus, Harry will also be part of the First Look deal. He is said to be intending to make more documentary shows for Netflix, most likely in the areas of mental health. Please, God, no. Please, God, no. And the environment. No! Stop, Harry. Insiders point out that although With Love Meghan only made number 383 in the Streamers What We Watch list, this still put it in the top 5% of Netflix output. It rated higher than the well-established Queer Eye series. Can I just remind Alison Boshoff, if she bothered to do a tiny bit of research, Queer Eye has just been axed because it's become a flop. Meanwhile, Harry's Polo documentary drew only 500,000 viewers globally, rating number 336 in the chart. And the other issue, and then this is right at the end of the piece, they quote from Puck, which is a credible Hollywood website, that an ex-Sussex employee told Puck, the one thing Meghan and Harry have done consistently is make the wrong decision. But Alison quickly adds, that's not for want of trying, because as another close source told me, they are horrible at making decisions. They asked everyone, and they don't take their own advice. And that's a problem all the Netflix money in the world can't solve. Okay, so she got there in the end. But at the end of the day, this spin is ludicrous. Netflix is not spending $65 million on the biggest flop in Hollywood history. I believe there will be a face-saving first look deal. I've said that since mid-2023. It doesn't take away from the fact that this deal has been axed. Archewell Productions is effectively over. Netflix doesn't have to take anything from the couple. And sure, they're going to keep pushing on with As Ever, but it's not a priority for Netflix. We've all seen that because the relaunch has been so disastrous. And of course, last night, like clockwork, being into the email, if you happen to sign up to As Ever, you got Meghan Markle announcing a restock with these pictures of the As Ever Rosé. Now, the email, it's written by Meghan, it's full of Meghan speak, right? So it's like pseudo-intellectual wellness talk. We hope you've been having a beautiful summer, enjoying the adventure of travel or the calm of home, finding beauty in the little things, and perhaps trying something new. Something new for Meghan and Harry might be actually going to work. On that note, many of you were able to try our debut 2023 Napa Valley Rosé, and we were over the moon to hear your feedback. And she's literally included some of the feedback. 10 out of 10. Perfect. Elevated flavour. Stunning and delicious. We also won blind taste tests as the best rosé and were coined the it drink for summer. Wow, we thought. So Meghan's now speaking as a we, as a collective. Have you noticed that? And thank you, we say. I'd love to know who the we is, given everyone seems to have been sacked. This affirmed all of the love, time, and effort our team and our founder. Okay, so she's talking about herself. No, that's her. She's the founder, the female founder. Poured into creating this blend to evoke the sun-drenched spirit of Napa Valley and the breathtaking tenor of the California coast. Thank you for filling our cup. Now it's time for us to fill your glass. We are pleased to share that our 2024 Napa Valley Rosé, okay, so just more recent, will be available for purchase next week. It marries the same harmony of notes from our first blend and creates an elegant medley of delicate yet memorable flavour. You'll want to clink glasses with friends as the sun sets, toasting to a summer of joy. Barefoot or in sandals, dressed up or dressed down. This rosé may become your favourite accessory for alfresco lunches and dinners at dusk. Cheers, the As Ever team. Royal News Network responded. Out with the 2023 and in with the 2024 rosé wine. I fail to understand how Meghan expects to build a brand when you can never buy the same product twice. And she's wildly inconsistent on product timelines. So annoying. Since she desperately needs a success out of this after Netflix, which again doesn't care about As Ever at all, she needs to drop the games, stock correctly, and actually have a functional company rather than manage whatever the heck this is. And of course, Brittany at the Royal News Network is completely right. But newsflash, Meghan can't do that. She can't do that. There is no infrastructure. There is no true backing. This is just a little add-on project for Netflix. The business is a disaster. It has been a disaster from the start. The Netflix deal was a disaster. The only slight differences, unlike the Bill Simmons relationship where Spotify took a very European approach and just said, to hell with you. To hell with you. We're not releasing some type of face-saving statement when you've wasted millions of our dollars and days of our time. Instead, with Netflix, there will probably be some type of face-saving announcement, but it doesn't mean that this deal has not been a disaster and that this deal is very much over and that these two have the begging bowl out. But first, these days we're living through economic whiplash, soaring prices, vanishing savings, and headlines that seem designed to confuse more than inform. Now, we're told this is all normal, that history's been rewritten for our own good, and that embracing these changes is the only path forward. But every outlet tells a different version of reality, and the so-called fact checkers are just enforcing the approved narrative. But luckily, there's a solution. It's ground news. Hands down, the easiest way to stay informed because it cuts through all the spin, all the bias, so you can actually see what's going on and then make up your own mind. So I have it on my phone, as an app, and in my bookmarks online because it's become so essential to my daily life. See for yourself, by the way, at ground.news/outspoken. But I want to show you this incredible website and app in action before I tell you about today's deal. So let's use the very controversial story of the UK pop star, washed up pop star that is, using her BBC podcast with fellow presenter and close friend Makita Oliver, equally awful, claiming she doesn't know how many abortions she's had before settling on 4 or 5. So what Ground News allows you to do is clearly in one place over 60 sources, 67 sources in fact, covering the story. And then it instantly shows how the story is being covered by the media, broken down by whether the organisations lean to the left or the right. This is what's called the bias distribution chart. Then you scroll down and can literally see every headline about the story immediately, along with the political bias and ownership of the publication. So most of the coverage here is from outlets on the right because the left decided to shy away from covering such casually offensive comments. When looking at the headlines individually, the left-wing outlets that did cover the story tried to do so with sympathy. We Got This Covered praised her for challenging taboos. The Daily Mirror described it as a heartfelt admission. And Metro News went all out, arguing you can't judge Lily Allen's abortion confession and be pro-choice. But the coverage on the right-leaning outlets, far more strident. Fox News honed on the fact she was laughing during the confession. The Western Journal dismissed her boast as revolting. And The Spectator declared we should be outraged by Lily Allen's 4 or 5 abortions. Now, my favourite feature of Ground News is their blind spot feed, because what this does is every single day surface upwards of 20 stories that receive the majority of coverage from one side of the political spectrum. If you love the news, like I do, this blind spot feed is the best way to get a balanced perspective on what's really happening in the world. So go to ground.news/outspoken or scan the QR code on the screen to subscribe today. And check this out, you will get 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use for unlimited access. That's ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show. To our royal mastermind, Prince Harry's biographer, Angela Levin now. Angela, I mean, this is just utterly ludicrous for the Daily Mail to be suggesting that Netflix are going to pay Harry and Meghan $65 million. For what? For what? And then saying, oh, the show was better performing than Queer Eye. Well, Netflix have just axed Queer Eye, a show that was a lot cheaper to produce than the Harry and Meghan stuff because there was no huge talent deal attached. I actually think what Rob Shooter is saying is much more accurate, which is that Meghan's so desperate that she'd even now take a spot on The View, which is like the American version of Loose Women. The irony is, I don't describe it as The View, I call it the toxic table, Angela, but Meghan is too toxic even for The View. Even The View wouldn't want Meghan as a panellist.
Yeah, I mean, it is laughable, isn't it? Because these things change so fast. The one thing that Meghan has stayed with is actually not to listen to anybody else because she knows best. And that's the trouble. I mean, they say it here slightly more pleasantly, but she just can't do that. She thinks that she knows better than anyone. So if they tell her anything, she doesn't listen. And the other thing is, if she gets on The View, she will be talking nonstop about me, me, me. I don't necessarily think that they would welcome her because there they all take turns to speak, and when one's talking, the other doesn't. But with Meghan, it's boom, everybody wants to know every detail about me. And the trouble is, when she does say this, it's awful because we see more of her than we should actually. What she's like sort of spills out. And I can't understand anybody would want that. You want to hide it, not actually show it off. But she's desperate. And that's one thing you have to sort of give her a clap for, because she won't give in. She will absolutely work very, very hard to stay in the public eye. And I think a lot of this nonsense is the fact that newspapers are going to buy it because, oh, look, they are going, they're not going, they're coming, they're going. It's just some sort of newsy type thing. So they shove it on the papers. This is summertime when there's not much going on. And then you just put it up and you hope for the best. But she cleverly, and I think this is her, she will always find something that it can be dramatic, more drama than she would ever imagine. And that's what the newspapers are doing, because not many people are buying newspapers. They need people to read them. And it is a summer day. And so there we are.
I know, but I still think sometimes you have to maintain your credibility as a journalist. And there's no credibility for any journalist to be saying, oh, there might be a $65 million deal. I mean, that's so ludicrous. It's just like the Netflix board. Angela, honestly, if Netflix were going to pay Harry and Meghan $65 million, I think there would be mass resignations on the Netflix board. They cannot pay anywhere close to that.
Yeah, I think that's right. But what happens usually is that everyone forgets that it's $65 million. It's only just there for sort of a few minutes, and then things go on to something else. They're not doing this, but they are doing this. I feel sorry for journalists who are doing it, actually, because it's hard work being a journalist now. There's not so many jobs. And if the editor wants this and to keep the ball rolling because of Meghan, then they just have to do it. They can't say, I'm not doing this, it's disgusting, I don't want to do this, because they'll be told to find another job. What I have noticed is that a lot of the top royal journalists are not involved in this. They don't really get involved in it. So that, I think, tells you quite a lot.
Exactly. It's been left to the propagandists. I call her Charlotte Scobie now, the editor at large, and also Alison Boshoff, who's desperate to try and make some type of statement because she's competing with all of the other journalists. I know how it works. But Angela, you can never, the whole time I was at the Daily Mail, if they ever told me to go soft on Harry and Meghan, I would say absolutely not. I am reporting the truth. And that is what I will do. So at the end of the day, on their heads be it. And I think they have to stop smoking less crack over there at the moment, to be completely honest. But look, Angela,
I was there in the Mail for 15 years and interviewing people. And I would never do anything like that. Sometimes somebody will sort of changes what you've written and it actually means something else. And I always politely said, that's not me. You can't do that, please.
100%. Because there is no price on your credibility as a journalist, and it's your name that's on that piece. It's your face that's on the byline, and you just cannot let it happen. But look, Angela, it's been a devastating week for Meghan Markle because you had Prince Harry disappearing in Africa, of course. Now Jessica Mulroney's marriage is over. This is really interesting to me, Angela, because you'll remember that this was absolutely Meghan's best friend. Absolute best friend. Her daughter was even part of the wedding party, Ivy, alongside Princess Charlotte. And Meghan viewed her relationship as like the fairy tale that she was also trying to emulate with Prince Harry, because Jessica Mulroney had, via her husband Ben, sort of bought into one of Canada's top political families. Now it's over, Angela. Of course, Meghan doesn't speak to Jessica Mulroney anymore, but this will have rocked her world.
Yeah, but there's a tremendous number of marriages that aren't standing. at the moment. I don't know why people are bored. They were married for about 16, 17 years, I think, and people get bored. And it's so easy now to actually cancel the marriage and go off and find someone else.
But for
I mean,
Meghan at a
things
time
that,
when her own marriage, Angela, is in such dire straits. And remember, she looked up to this couple. She wanted to be like this couple. Do you see what I mean about the psychology there?
mm. But I think Meghan won't do anything. I mean, once you're out of the range there, then she's not going to come back and say, look, I'm sorry we haven't spoken for several years. You must be in a terrible state. Come and have lunch or a cup of tea, or I'm really sorry, you were great for me. Now perhaps I can help you. She won't do that
No, 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 no.
because it's not about her.
Once you're
So
out of Meghan's
I
world,
imagine
you're out.
Jessica is feeling very low, but that's what it's like when you've got a divorce hovering over you.
100%. 100%. Now, Angela, it's not just the Daily Mail, who I think have gone mad. It's also the Daily Telegraph, which really shocks me because Eleanor Mills ran this absolutely vile piece, really heaping the pressure on Charles and William, effectively saying Charles's entire reign, Angela, would be a failure if he doesn't accept Harry's olive branch. Now, this is not just any old woman. It's a senior journalist who has spent time with Queen Camilla in the past. There she is photographed with her. And you think that lots of journalists now have been encouraged to go against the king and support, in your words, Angela, nasty, selfish, greedy Harry and Meghan. Now, why is this happening?
Well, I just think that that's trying to get Meghan and Harry in the centre. And I think it's awful. But let me tell you what absolutely has annoyed me to the extreme.
Yes, please.
She said, before it's too late. Why is it too late? I mean, that's not what's happening. Harry's not dying. If the king doesn't last for very long, which I hope he does last, he won't know anything about it. William won't be upset about it. So that's a nonsense beginning to a piece of work. The other thing is that I think that the thing is, if you want to get back with your father, and especially a king, that you don't tell everybody all about it. You're silent. You don't say a thing. You don't actually write disgusting things about your father and let everybody know. You don't tell the world that you're letting him have your diary. Who cares about that? That's just nasty. That's spiteful. I mean, this man is doing everything he can to be revolting and to get his father's attention. And I think it's just disgusting. And what has actually made me even madder this morning was that when Invictus Games is 2 years ahead in Birmingham, now Harry's aim is to get his father there. I don't think that that's right because I think it's actually for the poor veterans, not for actually Harry choosing who should be there. I think it actually should be cancelled because the last two Invictus Games, people have written to me and said, can you stop it? Because he's doing it as if it's himself. What's he doing even worse? And has just been announced is that Meghan is going to go to the Invictus Game. She's going to go to the UK. This is amazing. She's going to be there. Now, let's work out what she's going to be there. She's going to say speeches. The king won't make a speech. She will make a speech. She's going to work maybe in her very short shorts. And that will just absolutely antagonize the veterans. But the other thing is that she will be there to win. She's going to be there where she wants masses of attention. Meghan is here. My goodness, all the cameras will be on it, everything like that. And the king will be sitting politely somewhere on the rows near the front. If he does come, we don't know how well he will be, don't know if he wants to be. Camilla's birthday, 80, is in that week. Actually, that's also another thing because July is a very, very unusual time for having Invictus Games. It's usually not that time. Now, you could say that this is to mess up Camilla's birthday again because he's done it once and he could easily do it again. So here we have a man who wants to get his father to love him again, and he wants to love him, in quotes, because I don't believe that at all, and yet he's doing everything you can to make it hideous and to make him win. And I just feel, disgusted.
Very well put, Angela. I agree. Cancel the Invictus Games. Absolutely. Why do any of these brands want to be associated with what has become, as Angela says, not a vehicle for the desperately disabled servicemen who we have huge respect for, but it's not a vehicle for them anymore. It's become a vehicle for the rehabilitation of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. We saw that in Canada. And I would be absolutely horrified if the King went to these games and the King decided to effectively almost give this the royal stamp of approval. I could not agree more, because this is not what Harry would make you believe. This is nothing to do with the veterans now. He doesn't give a damn. It is all about the rehabilitation of himself because he has nothing else going on. And of course, we've spoken today about how dishonest the mainstream media coverage is at the moment, especially from the royal rota of the royal family. So I would love it if you wanted to support Outspoken, because you get our show, our content, which is completely true, not encumbered by any bias, Monday to Friday. And if you do sign up for the monthly paid membership on Substack, as well as supporting Outspoken, you get first access to the Royal Uncancelled After Show every Monday to Friday on Substack. And you get it without any advertising whatsoever. You can watch it either live or on demand. Substack is a free speech platform. It really protects me from lawfare, big tech cancellation. So that's why I'm always desperate to try and get you to sign up. www.outspoken.live is the address.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.